Hi there. S- I welcome you to this lecture. This is also going to be another short lecture. And so, in this lecture, I want to talk about geographic data licensing. Now, we'll start with the license agreement, the process of getting or giving permission to someone, or giving permission to produce or to use something that you have created or another person has created or a company has created. That's basically what we mean by license agreement. In the GIS space, you would have to license regarding data you have created, or license regarding data, and license regarding geographic software. Now, the data licensing refers to the process of granting or obtaining permission from someone to use or to have access to their data. And then uh, basically it comes with contracts. You have to sign some sort of contract between the person giving the data and then the person who is going to receive the data or use the data. Now, I think about it in this way. I am not an expert in legal matters and I would not want to go too much deep to interpreting what license should be. What I want this lecture to be is to look out for things you should look out for and why you need to look out for that. Now, licensing, I would focus on geographic data because this module is for geographic data. So, licensing geographic data you you have created as one of the things. And then secondly, you would also have to think about acknowledging or giving credit to the the person who created the data you are using, which we call copyright. And so if you in the GIS space, we have the free and open data collection softwares. There are free and open source data collection softwares. Have you ever looked at their licensing? Um, have you checked their licensing agreement to read the terms in there? Do they require that even though you are using it for free, you should cite that your data was collected with their software? Perhaps, I don't know. I'm not suggesting anything, but I'm just saying these are things we overlook a lot. And then sometimes you collect data from people and you don't bother to check whether they require, though they gave you the data for free, do they require in their license that or in their copyright agreement that they are using, do they require that you reference them? It is okay, you are nice when you reference people, you are a nice guy, you're polite when you reference people. But sometimes some of the license agreements are mandatory, and we'll see an example soon. Now, licensing data that you have created. Think about the free and open data collection softwares that you get. When you say something is free and open source, typically it's not necessarily mean that it is free and you cannot pay for it or it doesn't come with any requirement. It's just saying that the source code that was used to create that is out there and you can have access to it. However, some of these free and open source organizations even still charges for uh, beyond certain limit of usage if you want to have a bigger usage. So it's not that free. Now there are two types of copyright or there are two types of licenses you have to look at. We have the copyleft licensing and the permissive license. Example of the copyleft license is the GNU, that's the General Public License. An example of the permissive license is the Apache license or the MIT license. Now, these are things that people don't read, but they you are not important if you are not working for any organization that seems to be a good catch and can give whoever wants to prosecute you enough money. And you are not important if there are only few people doing that. But if it becomes very popular, if it becomes something that everyone is doing, then there can be an issue. So I'm going to show you an example. this is an example of a license that I, this is an open, open source data that I took their license. I've just made a copy of their license. And if you look at the attribution under their license, it says that you are free to share, you copy, you redistribute the material in any medium or format for any purpose or for even commercially, you are free to do that. However, you're even saying you can even adapt, you can make a remix of it that's combine them with stuff and create a new version out of them, and you can even build upon it and stuff. However, this says that you you would, so long as you follow these terms that I'm going to show you, so long as you follow these terms, the licensor cannot revoke these freedoms. Okay. Now the first one is attribution, and it says that you must give appropriate credit, provide a link to the license, and indicate if changes were made. Now remember, this license is a Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike license. And Creative Commons is one of the open source licenses, or one of the licenses that most of the time open source softwares and open source data sets actually attribute to. But this is what it says. You must. The must means that they have the right to question you if you don't do that. And this is what I want to draw your attention to. And you would, this is an example of an MIT license. This is like an abridged version. If you get a chance, just read the whole thing. But go through it and see. MIT says that permission is hereby granted free of charge to any person obtaining a copy of this software and associated documentation files to deal with copy, modify, merge, publish, distribute, sublease, and sell copies of the software. And they permit people to do stuff, but you would have to read the whole license and be able to understand what it means. Now, why am I saying this? Licensing is one of the things that if you are a data creator, you need to take it important. And if you are a data user, you also need to take it important. Now, take it into consideration because if imagine you are working for a company like Google and you use a data from another open source which says that you must accredit them or you must show some sort of acknowledgement for the data you have used, and you don't do that. Now the operator would now see an advantage. He will sue Google, but he will not sue the student who is doing it. The reason is because they know he can get more money from Google, or probably he can get more money from a giant company. And if your company ends up paying that amount of money, it's not your company's fault. It is the profession or the professional who was in charge of that. That is the person that needs to be blamed. So as a profession, as you're building yourself in the profession, you need to be aware of licensing and copyright issues. You need to at least make these statements clear and emphatically in all your documentation to make your employer know that you are actually taking steps to reduce risk and taking steps to reduce potential lawsuit and damage that will come to them just for using a data set. And so read about the licensing, just get to know more about the copyright and licensing, what it says you should do. Because if you end up working for a giant company, you would forget to do it just like you forgot to do it when you were working for small companies, and you end up costing them a lot of money. Just think about it. This is one of the things that we will not go in too much into different types of licensing, copyrights, license, and licenses that are out there for geographic data. But when you get a data, first look out whether it has been licensed. If it has been licensed, just take a minute and read it. Once you read like what we have read today, you don't need to go and read the whole thing again. unless you want to go more into details. But once you read one and you understand, the next time you read another and you understand. And because there are many licenses out there, this is the best way to go. Read them as and when you receive them. So when you get a license from someone, a data from someone which is licensed, it gives you opportunity to learn about that license. If you already know about that license, forget it. The next one you learned about it, then you grow from there. I hope that this lecture has been insightful once again. This is an intuition lecture. It is preparing you to go to your hands-on training, the one-on-one hands-on training with our instructors to help you to be able to get more of the class. Our instructors provide you 100% hands-on training, and that's why we are doing this YouTube video. You get the opportunity to take your own time and listen and build a background around what you'll be doing in the hands-on class. If anyone is interested in joining our one-on-one training for GIS, it's an end-to-end training. It is from beginning to advanced desktop training for GIS. If you are interested in this, in the link in the put a comment, or in the link you will find how to reach us. I think we have WhatsApp contact there. That's a customer line. You can easily reach out to them, chat with them, and get to ask all your questions and receive answers to them. I hope to see you in the next lecture as we start diving into the GIS data formats. We would be able to talk more about the data format, the strength, the weaknesses, what format you can keep your data in, what format, how do you decide to even keep your data in one format as against the other? What advantages does one has that the other don't have? You need to understand this so that as you create data, you reduce the extent of quality issues that you have because data was kept in a format that compromises some aspect of quality you did not know about. I hope this is exciting and motivation enough for you to join our next lecture. Subscribe and receive notification each time we upload new lectures. Until then, I'll see you.